Hi guys, and welcome to Social Media Marketing and Language Learning. I really hope this video goes well. So now what I would like to do is talk a little bit about some lessons and lesson ideas that take strategies from social media marketing and put them into EFL and language learning. Talk about lessons that I've developed for business English classes and see how they can apply perhaps for your own classes. Now, bridging the lessons between EFL and marketing, here are some of the activities that we can talk about today. The first one, social media influence. Second, buyer persona. Third, native advertising, business purpose, conversational marketing, and content design. We'll really like to focus a bit on social media influence. And so with social media influence in EFL, it's kind of getting students comfortable and confident to practice writing and communicating with others in a target language, in English. And I've been doing this for about 6 years now. I create Facebook groups and I ask students to, basically share stories that they're comfortable talking about with the other people in the classroom. And now, what I've recently done, though, is I've really recently found strategies that marketers are using to attract customers to their Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, their online social media presence. And I'm looking at these strategies, and there's hundreds of them, and I'm like, how can we apply those strategies in an EFL classroom, and how can we increase student interactions with the same techniques that company use to increase customer interactions? So there are a few things we talk about. First, always sharing images and stories about daily life. So you think about some of the most popular influencers, the social media influencers out there. I guess the Kylie Jenners or YouTubers who have thousands and thousands, millions of followers, right? Well, what are they doing? They're really just sharing lighthearted stories about themselves, with images. A lot of them, depending on what products they're selling or what types of interests that they're attracting. But really, they're showing stories about their daily life. And so with my students, I really try to get them to just share stories about things that they like, their weekend activities, foods, pets, travel, that sort of stuff, with images, short videos. Participation is key. So when I get students doing social media in the classroom, I have to supervise a good portion of it, like at least once a week, 15 to 20 minutes. I'll be supervising their participation. Otherwise, you'll have your unmotivated students, your students with no confidence, your students with high anxiety. They're never students that are just not interested or have no intention to really use English or any other language, whatever language you're teaching, outside the classroom. So for those students, you have to really use more stick than carrot. You're going to have to watch them do some amount of participation in the classroom. Now, of course, you may have students who do not wish to do Facebook and or Instagram or Twitter or whatever. That's a high possibility. So you'll want to go into this with the idea that you have to have a backup, like, okay, this student doesn't want to do online writing. Well, then they can do offline journaling. Have a ESL or EFL diary. That would be an alternative exercise. That I have been doing this activity for about 5 years, 6 years, and I really have had like one or two students who really did not were not able to do this activity because they had some sort of personal issue with Facebook. What I tell students, everything is private. The settings are private. They can log in. They can create a class account and use that. So once you're past all of that and you get students into the Facebook group, really quite easy, especially these days, you can start supervising participation. Now, you want to get students engaged, so we'll go over real quickly some student engagement strategies. And then instructor engagement strategies. That's kind of really important too. Like students, if they see that their instructor will spend at least 10 or 15 minutes a week uploading some personal content about their life or sharing some memes, really just sharing some fun memes that ask questions, and questions are key to really get that engagement. And I'll talk about that in a minute. You must ask questions. Tell students to ask questions. That will attract a lot more engagement. That'll get students interacting with each other. It's fantastic. Then planning strategies for the instructor. We'll talk about this in detail shortly. But with planning strategies, you have to ask yourself, what time of the day do most students, will they be visiting this class Facebook group, right? What time of day, what days are they going to be most popular? And so you plan your own personal interaction engagement strategies around the most popular time of the day and popular days. And useful websites. Now, useful websites are websites that help students create content that they can share online. Now, the goal for this is to be creating content, to have students not just create content, but curate content. The internet is full of information, and having students that are able to edit out that information for their own purposes, that's a huge skill, and they're doing that in a second language. And so by doing that, they're learning the writing skills by being able to put everything together correctly. And then they're also learning a massive amount of critical reading skills, because they need to look through thousands and thousands, not necessarily, but perhaps if they're doing a little bit of research, then they're going through all of these websites and they're trying to decide what is important, what is worth sharing, what is worth posting. Now, let's get a little bit more specific here. L2 output and interaction. So, participation measures. Like, how do you know if students are creating enough output so that some amount of language learning is occurring? That's what we want. We want language learning. We want students to become more fluent. Well, the number of threads they create, how many times do they post? The words, how many words are they posting? Are they only posting pictures, or are they actually writing, short paragraphs, a few sentences, words per post? The number of comments, are they commenting with one another? Words per comment, and likes and other reactions, likes, smiley faces, happy. These are the metrics you can look at and you could grade. It's actually, it can be quite difficult to grade but you kind of, after a while, you'll see the trend. You'll see the students, the 20-80 rule. 20% of the students will create about 80% of the content, and then hopefully you really want all students creating content, but that's not really what happens in too many classrooms. You're always going to have your bell curve, the students that create a lot, and then hopefully you have 40 to 50% of students who are creating moderate amounts of I'd say posts and comments, and then you'll have your students, your struggling students. We'll talk in a minute about ways to check the metrics for participation. With Facebook, you have Facebook Insights, and that's a quite useful tool for checking out word counts and checking out, participation. Of course, just by observation, if you're an active member of the group, and that is key, that you do check in on these social media platforms rather regularly. You don't have to post every day, but it's a good idea. Again, look at what days are most popular. Look at what times of those days are most popular. You're really looking at only about 5 or 6 times a week that you have to actually visit that website and just click like. Anytime a student, is writing something, just give them that poke where you're saying, I like what you wrote, or, and then if you have time, sure, you can comment and just write a short comment on one of their threads. And if you really have time, and this is something you can actually just do one time a week, and you could set a timer to where the posts are going to be automatic. And that's where you're just sharing a meme, a fun meme like, what type of morning person are you, with a picture, and that'll get students engaged. You're not necessarily going to get students to create a lot of writing, but you'll get them interested in visiting that social media platform. You'll get them interested in being like, okay, it's time for me to write my homework now. And that homework would be, let's say, uploading a post of some sort. So these are the participation measures. So here's an example. You can't really see it too well, but it's a picture of, let's say some ice cream. And then you have a short paragraph. Did you guys all know that there's shaved ice with, you can, these are actually really fun stories. So you can follow the life of your student. When you have time, follow the life that they're wishing to share with the class. And then you can, of course, comment, or definitely just click like. Students talking about products. Now, this is where you're really going to see, this is where I think the social media marketing comes in. A lot of these posts, and this is influencing. This is marketing through, I don't want to say subliminal messaging, but this is marketing through conversation. This person's having a conversation, and here's a product that they're talking about. And what is the best type of marketing? Well, it's word of mouth marketing. When a friend tells you that a product is good, then you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go buy that product. And then you tell your friends that product is good. So this is conversational marketing. This is with social media. And in this case, they're talking about a nice experience they had. Storytelling. Through storytelling, they're promoting a product. Now, was the class assignment to say promote a product? No, not this one. This was just, hey, get out there, share a post of something you did. And this is part of their life. This is their life. They went to this coffee shop. They're very excited about it. And then they're sharing a story about it. And this one, this person's phone, they got a new phone. Obviously, this is an Apple lover, right? So this is, in a way, this student is happy because they bought a new phone. They had this cool new product, and they're sharing it with their friends, right? You cannot get better marketing than this, right? So letting the students, really just practice the language first. But then, this is social media marketing. This is one of the core concepts of social media marketing. And in each of these examples, I've done this research like 2 different ways. When I first started using Facebook, I would not have I didn't really ask students to ask questions. I just wanted them to post cool stories and hope that the conversation just, emerged organically. Well, now, what I've realized, and I wish I would have realized this sooner, but from learning about social media marketing, asking questions is so important. So, having the cool story, right? Teach, a little bit of storytelling, but then having that question. And why? That way you can get students to feel comfortable answering. So if I went to a social media post and there was no question, as a visitor, I'm a little bit confused. What should I do? Should I write a comment? Well, the teacher told me to, so I will. Sure. Well, when they ask a question, you're giving guidance to the visitor, and so the student knows exactly what kind of content to write about. Did they ask a question in this one? Eek, barbazook, not that and that one. Did they ask a question in this one? Oh, I didn't even get good examples. Sorry, I apologize, but there aren't even questions in... Oh, here we go. Did you guys all know that there's a shaved ice... Well, that's a rhetorical question, but if they had asked, like, what did you do last weekend? Or what type of phone do you like? Then that would have been directing the conversation. I apologize. I should have grabbed examples with questions. But okay, now, and then here we see the commenting going on, right? Now, obviously, I love this. I love this. The main posts are great because they're writing a lot. It's a simple form of writing. It's not very technical. It's not academic writing, but it's just casual, diary writing almost. And they have access to tools like Grammarly. They have access to tools like Google Translate. And now I have no problem with this stuff. These tools are all helping students curate content. So, at the very least, they are practicing some serious critical reading skills. And at the most, they're learning the correct form. Like they know that they don't want to do a copy paste from a Google Translate because they know that is going to be awkward looking. So they may, and I'm not saying they all do. A lot of my students don't have to, but they may take some Google translations and then they would just modify that, clean that up. Computer-mediated synchronous communication is fantastic. It's fantastic. They have time. They have time to think about what they're writing. All right. And then, they don't really have to sweat making small mistakes. They know they're talking to other Koreans, but really, I'm really impressed with the quality of their writing. Now, with the comments over here on the right, it's a much simpler form I would say a much simpler, but you can get away with sentence fragments. You can write just a clause like, oh, this looks amazing, or oh, shaved ice cream, is wonderful, or well, simple sentences. They don't have to really go in. They can use utterances in this writing. Now some do write more. Some will write a significant amount in the commenting, but then you also have the same students. Again, that 20-80 rule, where you're going to have 20% of the students write 80% of the material. Well, those are your A+ students. Let's just get this is just a nice way of recognizing those A+ students. So, okay, now let's look at what type of social media marketing and what kind of strategies, the engagement strategies that we can think of through these types of activities. Well, and I'm sorry that I'm spending so much time on Facebook. I just really love it. We're going to get into other types of social media marketing, but I really feel that this is something you can do with your students, or you can think about just to really get them engaged with online communication. So first is like student posting strategies. What can the student do? Well, I say student, but as a teacher, this is something you can do also, because you're not really that sage on the stage in the Facebook group or whatever group that you're deciding to do your social media communication activities on, be it Twitter, Kakao, or Instagram. Now, you want to start discussions. That means asking questions. Ask for likes. This is a little bit, this is acting a little bit, it's desperate, but sure, if there's ways that you can have students ask for likes. I haven't done this one too much. I might do this more next semester, but really getting students to try and promote their posts, that's something you could have them do. Now, engage group members regularly. Yeah. Asking students to comment. Now, it's part of their homework in my class where it's to create 2 threads and then comment on 4 students. That's part of their requirement. Now, if they can comment on 6 or 7 or 8, that's wonderful. If they can create 3 or 4 threads, that's wonderful. But also, if they can, they can recognize students who they can engage regularly with. That means, getting into those threads and then getting those conversations going. Describe weekend plans. I always find that, okay, Saturday and Sunday are the most popular days. Sunday evening is really popular. And you have all of Saturday, you have all of Sunday to have that content that you can create that they can think of. What did they do Saturday? What did they do Sunday morning? Right, Sunday afternoon? Well, take the best of that and put it into a thread. And so describing weekend plans is a fantastic way to put up some interesting activity, put up some interesting content. Review popular products and services, like we saw with the ice cream, like we saw with that Apple phone. Share popular memes. This one's fantastic. And there are some really cool, you go to Pinterest or Reddit, and you can find some really cool memes that you can steal and then share. And it's really easy as a teacher because you don't have to think so much. You can also schedule. You can schedule those posts at the beginning of the program. You could schedule dozens and dozens of your own threads where you don't have to even visit the website, but students are going to see oh my God, the teacher just uploaded this funny meme. Post about fads and popular culture, sure. Now, to be honest, let's look at what is most popular. What gets students engaged the most? Well, it's not stories about other people. It's the stories about themselves. So now it could be their close friends that they're telling stories about. That's still, by proxy, a story about that user. So if I get up there and I'm posting stories about Psy, or if I'm posting stories about BTS, or if I'm posting stories about Donald Trump, a lot of people don't care about that stuff. And you can't post about material people don't care about. You want to post about things that people care about. Now, when you post about yourself, and these are people in your class, they care about that. And it's more meaningful, I think, because it's directly related to the user, right? Don't post something about somebody in the news. I can get that from anywhere. I don't want to get that from you. I want to hear your stories. So, really getting students into storytelling is fantastic. Now, if it's something popular that they did, like if a BTS concert was in town and the student visited it, went to that concert, and then they posted a story about that event, man, that's going to really create that engagement. And so just to bring it back to the theme of this presentation, social media marketing, it's all about creating that engagement, getting the eyes, getting the intention to participate, and getting that engagement. As a teacher, instructor, posting strategies. Well, all right. First and foremost, we're providing models for students to follow. We want students to be able to, that 20-80 rule, with you have 20% of the students posting 80% of the content. Well, those 20% of the students are already creating a ton of models and examples for other students to follow. And then you, of course, as well. You as a teacher can, share a story about your personal life. Now, Studnitz, apologize for that spelling. Now, to be totally honest, though, is your life interesting enough to post about on a class Facebook group? Do you think that they want to be? Sure, but as yourself, think about what would be interesting. I find that memes, just posting memes that are interesting and fun and funny and simple. And it's really not to get the students to write a lot, but get students to interact, engage, and get them on the platform, and then get them doing their own writing, get that going. Now, when I provide, stories about myself, it's usually, like a video, and then me and my son Jacob are playing basketball. That stuff, I think it really works. It gets a little bit of engagement going. You kind of find, let's say, your own niche. Are you a dog person? Well, then you would probably write, maybe once a week as a teacher, post stories about your dog. You don't have to get too personal, of course. And that's kind of perhaps the modeling part, the example part. You don't want to, you want to teach these students not to share too much TMI, right? You don't need that much information, but just to show them, this is my hobby, and then I'm posting about that hobby. But there really is, I got to really work on, I was looking at my own content of what I post with my students, and I'm like, I don't know if I really should be posting all of this stuff. I'll get some extra light here. Okay, now, Hold contest. That's share inspirational quotes, images, blog posts. That's sure. Why not? Hold contest. Contests are great. Now, get creative. I am not as creative as I probably should be. I am thinking that the contest I recommend is finding out who's your top poster, who's doing the most content creation on that social media platform. And then that person needs to be like the winner, and you can think of what kind of prizes you give. Get creative with that. But it's basically like a leaderboard, and kids love that. Students love that. Everyone loves that. Everyone wants to be the winner of a contest. It feels great. Thank the most engaged student. Again, these kind of go hand in hand with me because the most engaged student is usually the winner of whatever contest I have, if I have time. But thanking the most engaged student, that's great. Give them that motivation. Acknowledge popular posts. Definitely, right? How do you acknowledge them? Well, I like to press like on all posts just to be rewarding to as many. I'm total socialist when it comes to I love all of your posts, no matter what. But maybe I'll actually comment more on interesting or posts that are quite interesting. And then, of course, ask questions. Now, this list is limited. I'm sure there are a number of other strategies that we can use as instructors to get students to engage more on social media, platforms. Analytic strategies. Now, this is a little bit technical. So if you're not computer savvy, it might be tough. But really, Facebook makes their analytics on Facebook and analytics on Twitter, Instagram. They want users to know when people are visiting their websites. They want users to know when engagement is happening. Because when you're using analytics strategically, you're going to be able to increase that engagement. And so post during peak traffic times. Avoid creating multiple threads. So multiple threads. I get this. So if I'm posting a thread and then I post another thread, I'm going to drown out the Facebook page or the group page or the Twitter page or the Instagram page. It's just going to be my content. I don't think you can do Instagram groups, so I don't know if that's an option. But you're going to drown out. You're going to overwhelm, and you're going to be spamming your students. So actual posts, this is the beautiful thing about this activity. As the instructor, you can just relax, sit back, and let them do all the content creation. And then you, as this clever teacher, you'll only post during peak time, which is usually Friday evening between 8 and 12, Saturday between 6 and 12, Sunday between 8 and 12, and then whatever day you have class on, that's usually a popular day too. So if your class is Monday or Tuesday and their homework, they might think it's homework because it should be. This is actual interactions. They're going to post a lot the night before. But who knows? So what you do is you just go to the most convenient analytic tool that you have. Facebook Insights is super easy. All right. And then you only post on the top times for that, for yourself. And you could do this every week. I think it's pretty consistent. It's pretty consistent with when peak traffic is. Post consistently. Well, all right, yeah, post consistently. So that means, at least once a week or twice a week, have some fresh material. Once or twice a week, add a cool meme, M-E-M-E, once or twice a week, go through and I do like bombs, where I just like the whole everything new I try to like. I'll even like comments, and that just draws in, I'm hoping it draws in more engagement. But who knows, maybe by going through and liking so much, that might not be a great idea. A lot of these engagement strategies, I'm really just starting to use them this semester, and also comparing it to not using engagement. So for this semester, I had 5 weeks where I really went in and I did some serious strategic engagement activities on the Facebook group. And this week, last week, and the next couple weeks, I'm just sitting back. I'm not touching it. And we'll see if there's a big difference. I believe from what I see, at least, anecdotally, there's just a lot less comments. There are a lot less commenting going on when, as a teacher, I'm not touching it. As I'm being hands-off and there's not really a host, then I'm seeing a lot less interaction. We'll see if that continues. Identify posts with the most engagement. Sure. Yeah. If a student is getting a lot of engagement, kind of comes back here, acknowledge the most popular students. Measure performance with analytics. Sure. Facebook Insights. Okay. Now, with Facebook Insights, I quickly, you can identify. They have really cool charts that you can just download, and you can get custom insights into who's participating the most. So for this class, Thursday, it's a Wednesday class, so I don't know why, but Thursday was a popular day. Friday night, I guess they're out having fun, so it wasn't as popular. Saturday, relatively popular, and Sunday, 1935, Sunday seems to be the most popular. So in this class, Sunday evening is when I'd like to post at least once, and then, I could do Thursdays, and I would do Mondays, go through and have some sort of presence on this Facebook group. All right, engaging students through memes. Now, there's a really cool Pinterest page I like. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Real quick though, if money didn't matter to you, what would you be doing for work? Name one food you refuse to give output that's getting created, but what you're doing is you're giving students an opportunity to interact. You're just giving them that opportunity to interact, and that's 20 or 25 comments down the line. And it's quite impressive. Well, I find it to be kind of interesting. Through these memes. 1 minute looks like wacky. I don't know. We'll go, and again, you go to Pinterest or you go to Reddit, and you can get all of these have really funny images that go along with them. We all know what memes are, and these are some interesting websites that could help you with creating content, help your students create content. All of these can be activities in and of themselves. Word clouds are really fun. Having students create a word cloud about themselves, or if you really want to get into marketing, have them create a word cloud about a marketing and then write a short paragraph about it. Popular memes, students can review memes and then they can create their own. Infographics, I really want to get more into that, but infographics are great. They're great for just getting that the combination of media and language. All right. Now, moving on, customer personas. So like a customer persona versus partner persona. Well, in a customer persona, marketers are asked to think about who the customer is, their name, their age, their gender, their interests, their goals, personality, hobbies. The more details, the better. So, when I ask students, I have this alter ego activity where it's like create an alter ego, lie about yourself. Well, then, I kind of ask the same kind of, information. What's the name? What's their age? What's their job? Like how many, their family, and you get the students to think of as many details as possible for this alter ego. In this case, I ask students, okay, you have a business, your business is you create your own business, be it a flower shop or if it's a dog grooming company, whatever. Who is your customer? And it's a difficult question to think of conceptually at first. Like, oh, I want everybody to be my customer. And then there's that famous saying, if you're selling to everybody, you're then selling to nobody. So no, you really want to have a specific person in mind. And so I'll have students, create this customer persona and then, describe that customer. Our company provides services for special customers. So I won't go through all of these activities, but you can download them from our conference repository, or you can contact me directly, and I'll be happy to share these activities with you. They're not magical activities, but they have a basic scaffolding principle to them. In the first part of the scaffolding I do is I have an example for students to follow. And then they will then have a template for them to fill in the blanks. And so obviously, A plus style is students will totally create their own new paragraph. And then B style is they fill in the blanks and then they change some sentences. And then C style is they're just copying. They're just copying. So in this case, right, like we have, our company provides service for special customers. Let me tell you about our ideal customer. Our ideal customer, the customer persona, Mina. Mina is a 22-year-old university student. She cares deeply about her appearance and enjoys going out. Mina is a terrific student from Monday to Friday and likes to go out to clubs on weekends. In addition to dancing and singing, Mina also likes talking to new people. She is outgoing. Oh my God, Shakespeare. Move over. All right, now here we go. Our company provides services for special customers. Let me tell you about our ideal customer, buyer's name, All right. So all of like the units, and you could download the book. I wouldn't, or not, it's not a book. It's just it's just some material that I used. And it kind of has something like this for customer persona. It begins with the reading activity. Then it goes to the template where they fill in the blank. The second part it has a dialogue where, oh no, I broke another nail, and this is two people talking about a problem, right? Well, every good product or service solves a problem. So in this students are talking about a problem that happens, and then it's an example of creating a little just dialogue, and then here we go. Oh no, what happened? And it's just fill in the blank. Again, students fill in the blank. C, if students can really change it up a bit. B, if students can add to it, really do some real cool content development. A, another example, blog articles. So this is something called native advertisement. And native advertisement is like, okay, I'm going to write a blog article and it's going to be interesting by itself. As an article to read, this will be interesting for the viewer. So it's not like an advertisement like buy this car, buy this. No. They're getting some interesting information, right? But inside that information is some sort of product endorsement. And so, for example, a lot of blog articles are like this, right? These days, and this is different. I'm kind of moving away. I didn't segue out of the Facebook or the social media platform, but I'm kind of segueing out of that right now and just kind of talking about some activities that you can use in your classroom. And then just some examples of how to scaffold that. So these days, buying a car is a small, difficult task. Again, same principle as before. They have the reading article. They have the fill in the blanks. And they have a dialogue of some sort. They create their own dialogue. And then conversation questions. You can have, conversation questions, then some example answers. Students can practice these conversation questions at home. They come to class and then they get into their own little speed dating kind of thing where they're just, switching up partners every 5 or 6 minutes. I don't want to stand here and tell you how to teach your class. This is just an example where, we're trying to combine a little bit of reading, writing, dialogue writing, and then conversation practice to get in that whole speaking, writing, listening, reading, like 4 skills training. Business origin activity, right? Like creating a business. This is something that I would recommend doing early on. At the beginning of the semester, students create a business. It's the first activity, right? And here's an example. Unkyung's flower company. She's asked students, create a company now. 상상해요. Imagine, pretend, use fantasy. 5 years in the future, what you have this company, you're CEO of this company. Now, how did that company start? What's your origin? And so this would be an example of that. And so this student, Un Kyung, she has a flower shop. When she was in university, she used to, make flowers for her friends and family. And then her company got really big. And well, now she's a super famous flower person. And so throughout the semester, with all of her activities, she'll use Unkyung's Flower Company as a point of reference. So she has a customer persona, and in the customer persona, who buys Unkyung's flowers, right? She does some native advertisement, write an article about Unkyung's flowers, and so we go through the whole semester, and this would be like a business English course. You go through the whole semester, and you have students, creating content, creating advertisement, creating conversation, like just website content for that kind of company. And they're scaffolded through the whole thing with, with examples, with templates. Sorry, my dog is barking like crazy. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hoorah. Pop, 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 pop. I'm really kind of going over. Digital storytelling is another one that we can do. I did that once with my class, and I feel terrible because I barked at my son in front of my students because my microphone was still on. Ugh, I feel terrible. Digital storytelling in the EFL versus marketing. Yeah. Again, I don't want to teach you how to teach. This is just another example. You do digital storytelling. You can do 5 questions to ask when you're. I'm really interested in the blog titles. Just real quick, let me see if I can pull up this. If you look at some of those 300, if you look at one of these websites, it's 101 different blog titles, right? And I look at these blog titles and I'm like, wow, this would be just like a conversation question worksheet for my students to do speed dating on or something. Okay, not this one. And, so I'd have students 5 questions to ask when you're buying a car, 5 questions to ask when you're buying flowers. So let's say you are Unkyung, and let's say you are, my internet is being weird. Let's say you have this flower shop, right? Well then, let's say you're creating a blog for that company. And so that's what the students would be doing. If the student owned a donut store, 5 questions to ask when you're buying donuts. And so the student would be one of those question 1, where should I go? Or what donuts go best with with Americano, and then so the student writes the answer. They have the question, the answer. It can be 2 questions to ask, 3 questions, depending on how much time you have. This is a fun one to do. So you're basically having students create these blog articles for their company. It's not direct advertisement. It's all indirect advertisement. All right. Let me just wrap it up. Why do this in an English class? What's the point? This isn't, marketing, it's English. Well, social media marketing, everything that we did on Facebook that I showed you, or Twitter, or whatever social media platform you've used. Well, obviously interaction theory has a role here. If you know interaction theory, it's dealing with students learn through interacting with one another. And it's a lot more to it than that. I won't get into it. You could write a whole book about it. But then sociocognitive theory, students are, really, they're put into the context of the context. Well, their stories that they're sharing with each other. They're communicating. They're opening up with one another. They're sharing their life together with these stories. And even if it's small, there's I think by having that context, okay, you're telling me a story about your dog, you're walking your dog, and I like to walk dogs, I'm really, that's part of my life too. So I have all of these reference points, and as a reader of your, of your native advertisement, as a reader of whatever you're posting, whatever you're creating threads about, I have a million of these reference points that I can connect those dots to. And so it's not so much okay, fill in the blank, or dictogloss, or a multiple choice, true, false. It's real natural. I think it's really authentic, immersive language learning. It's not so much like it's just repeat after me, and not to say that those aren't bad activities, but when we're doing this social media marketing, and you're looking at it from the perspective of language learning and EFL, you're like, my God, you're really giving students a chance to be immersed in the language, just through the internet, through online channels. So yeah, sociocognitive theory, really opening up a lot of reference points. Output hypothesis, and beyond. Traditionally, output hypothesis, two people talking, hey, how going? Oh, I think you mean how's it going? Thank you. How's it going? Yeah. So like through dialogue, students are correcting each other's language. But just creating that dialogue in the first place and creating as much as possible, they're really creating a lot of that target language. They're creating that output. You don't see correction. Like if someone posts something on the social media in my class Facebook, I would be upset if student A was criticizing or critiquing student B. I wouldn't be upset, but I'd be like, well, you know what? It's okay if there's a mistake in their writing. You don't have to do that. But that being said, I'd have students check their writing through Grammarly or other grammar tools so that before they do upload it, it's already kind of been computer checked. It's already been some automatic grammar correction has already been added. So just, I think, even the interaction with Grammarly, right? Like Grammarly is telling me to make this correction. I feel that, and I'm creating this output, I feel that that falls in the realm of output hypothesis, or at least it should fall in the realm of some sort of, output hypothesis is probably one of the closest like language learning theories that I think can account for language learning occurring through content development. Language learning strategy theory. Just learners learn by incorporating the most like developing learners who can use a wider range of language learning strategies. That's good. That's better than not using a wide range of language learning strategies. Really advanced learners, sure, they might only need to use a few, but if someone is learning a new language, of course, practice speaking face-to-face, right? But if they're also writing content and sharing it online, if they're creating blogs, if they're learning how to do web design or learning how to use English through technology, well, that's, I think, broadening their language learning strategies, the way they are learning. Collaborative language learning, obviously, students are they're writing for the intent to share their writing with others. They're not writing to an audience of one, but they're writing to an audience of many. And so you're really, as a teacher, you're taking yourself off the stage. You're really, all you're doing is, I kind of liken it to just, you'd love to have the carrot and you don't need the stick, but really you have to use the stick. You're like, please share your writing, share your writing. And you're sharing it with others. Oh, but teacher, mula. Man, if you are totally if you're totally lost, then use Google Translate if you need to. Definitely use Grammarly and keep your sentences short, right? Don't have to write a lot, but just get out there, collaborate with others. Now, of course, it's not a direct path with collaborative language learning. I'm not asking students to get into groups and then create content together. No, I'm asking them to create content individually and share them with the group. So it's not a direct path with this, with all of these theories. It's indirect. Self-determination theory, obviously, I think there's a lot of motivation involved with this type of engagement. Language learning strategy. Oh, I have that twice. I+1 hypothesis. Okay, well, the Krashen I+1 hypothesis, right? Students this isn't academic writing. This isn't technical writing. When they're writing to a broadest audience possible, and so they're keeping their language as simple as possible. They're being asked, of course, I asked them to use Grammarly. So they're writing at their level. Grammarly is kind of correcting those simple mistakes that they're making or complicated mistakes, however, whatever level they're at. When I say whatever level they're at, even as me, I'll be writing and Grammarly will help me. And it helps me with showing me, these, mistakes that you're making in your writing, usually from writing too fast. But then with my real low-level students, my mid-level and my high-level, students, Grammarly has something to offer. I'm a big proponent of Grammarly. I just put that out there. And I think that Grammarly, it doesn't, if you're writing it's not, it's going to really just correct if you're only able to write a simple sentence, and it's really difficult for you to write a simple sentence, right? Well, Grammarly will just give you that nudge, that small little nudge to help you polish off that simple sentence, make it look a little nicer. Well, okay, that's that perspective. But also the I+1 with the classmates, right? You're not, the students, they're not writing with native speakers. They're writing amongst one another, amongst these non-native speakers. Sure, it's a very what is it? Derivative classrooms where you have high, medium, and low students, right? So let's hope that the medium level students are, they're sharing their writing, and even the low level students can understand it. My God, they could even do Google Translate with the Facebook. They can do automatic Chrome translations, right? But they hopefully are not. But they're able to really, I think, digest this level of writing. It's within their zone of proximal development completely, which brings us to sociocultural theory. I think, and sociocognitive theory, they rhyme. They might not be exact, but they definitely relate to each other. And you're definitely dealing with social like language learning. It's like, my God, emotional intelligence. What type of content are you sharing with one another? And is it something that you would feel comfortable that other people should know about? And then is it something that's going to attract attention, something that's going to attract engagement? All of this, I believe, with this type of approach to language learning, when you look at social media marketing and you look at it in the context of language learning, there's something there. From what I mentioned, from what I talked about today, as well as a lot of other, I think, possibilities. There's so much potential with this approach to teaching business. At least it's an updated, I think it's updated way of teaching business compared to how we've been teaching business English for the past 15 years. It seems like we're just recycling lessons from the 1990s. I believe that we need a new approach, at least a wider approach to what we have now. And I believe the content that's just created when you take into consideration the social media marketing aspect of business, and putting that into business English, I think you're going to do your students a solid. It's going to be great for them. They'll become, I think, much broader, much more sophisticated. You might actually give them some business knowledge that they can use in their first language. Isn't that important, right? Are you just wasting your time when you're just teaching outdated business concepts? And last thing we want to do is waste our time. We don't want to waste the students' time. All right, guys, I have taken up enough of your time. My God, oh my God, 50 minutes. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.